right, good evening, for Enterprise and Pink Puff fans. Welcome to our every other Thursday restream of the Pink Puff League Club. My name is Garen, and I'm here joined in the booth with Vitasia on comms. We've got Scar doing the restream and Judge Joe doing the tracking. How are you tonight, Vitasia?
Doing fantastic. Looking forward to getting back here in the booth, watching this fantastic Pink Puff League. We got Lose Eclipse and Matic, both getting ready to duke it out here on the restream. We also have some other folks, of course, running it in the background. But uh, this is just really looking forward to this race. Only two objectives. Got to get both of them done, but you win the game. So it's complete the giant and launch the Falcon. So should be interesting to see how this happens tonight.
Indeed, and it looks like in this case, starting with a Yang, which it's like that's not great for C where you're trying to go as fast as possible since Yang needs all the levels for his power. But at the same time, we do not have the hero flag on. So other than the fact there's no food in the seed, we can hopefully trade that Yang out for some more power on the way down. And we don't really have to visit the moon because we only have the main locations on tonight for key items. So why not seeing any moon visits?
Probably not any moon visits are going to be on there. Really, I mean, Young, this is an interesting starting character because you mentioned it that, he doesn't have great damage curve. You can't find a decent weapon and get him up there. If you happen to have his elemental claws and he can exploit those elemental weaknesses, he's great. But otherwise, he's just, I don't know. I think throughout the past year or so, he's been collectively the least used character amongst the various clubs that are out there. So it'll be interesting to see how these two leverage Young. He can be effective after some levels and whatnot. So we'll see if we ditch him pretty quick or hang on to him.
Well, we're on our way. It looks like we get Rydia to join Yang. Not great early starting power here. And Adamant Rock from the King and Queen of Babel sitting in the Baron 1 spot.
Yeah, not a great place, honestly. You want to see that King and Queen is a free boss in all respects, and that is a relatively easy area. It's a gated area, but it's still in the overworld in terms of the story. So kind of a low HP for typically the amount of gear that you have going in there. Really sad to see King and Queen at that spot.
That's true. Although if you happen to get a Baron key early, you at least know that the Baron 1 fight's not going to be any challenge at all to get through. So see if the Baron key lies early or if it lies somewhat late. A diversions to start with. Matic is starting off with the Eblin Castle, a fairly popular play when it comes to getting some early gear because with there being monsters and some random boxes here, the loot tends to be a little bit higher than elsewhere.
Looks like a rune ring just to get out of the gate. That is a fantastic piece of starting gear for our young mage here. Does look like we also have a cane and a dark elf in that early spot. Interesting spot for the dark elf. Normally that's a boss spot that you like to one shot, but you're gonna have to at least hit it twice in order to get it through that phase. Plus whatever else is there. Kind of interesting to see that.
Yeah, Blues will give us a check of the Mist Cave, looking for a cheeky Vanilla D Mist, maybe. No, not this time. We saw that Leviathan, and we're just let that go. Some Gaia helmets over here in the Eblin looting from Matic, and Elven Bow. So that could be some pretty nice stuff.
Yeah, and Matic says, I'm not going to open any more treasure chests. I like what I got. And immediately diving back in, oh, yeah, decides, oh, maybe we should save.
Yeah, there are three potential encounters here in the castle, so don't really run into one after you've already found some nice stuff. It's a dancing dagger, and it's like, that's it. We're done.
That's all you need, honestly. You might come back a little bit later and try to open some of those monster boxes if you want some experience, if depending on how the rest of the seed goes. That being said, Dancing Dagger on that Rydia, you put a rune ring on her and that Gaia helm, she should be able to have a hit or two. You can do quite a bit of work with that Dancing Dagger alone right now. I think that's enough to get this seed going.
Yep. Attic is now choosing to take out the Damesian treasury. Blues tried the back of Mount Watery Pass. The back of the pass is not that great today. Just some gold and some ice armor. That's basically just cash.
Yeah, and we did see one thing that was worth buying. Blues did end up spying that Sylph summon that was in the Baron item shop. I believe the Sylph glitch is on, which means as soon as Rydia has enough MP to cast it, as long as she's not in the middle spot, we can use it kind of in as much as we want. It is a longer cast time. It's not fast, but it is quite a bit of power, especially in this early game. Usually around 12 to 1500 damage, which is enough to one or two shot quite a few bosses in this early game.
And with that rune ring and that Gaia helmet, that'll make it even more powerful than it would be just with its on its own base level. There's a Lilith rod
Absolutely.
available in the treasury too, so I mean, get quite a bit of wisdom up on Rydia here to start early. But Matic is to take the gamble, see if there's a good summon here at the base of Mount Hobbs.
I love this gamble with an early Rydia, and that looks like it's an Indra. And Matic says, no thank you. I do not want an extra long summon for lightning damage that doesn't really hit hard unless it's an elemental weakness. So I like the play. I like checking it, but I can certainly understand saying, we'll try it later.
Yeah, so now the both runners have taken out the Falcon because we know with the objectives we're going to have to do it anyways, so might as well get it while you're here. And now Maddox is going to see if there's a useful character or encounter here to take on Mount Hobbs.
Blues does the double check as well. Hey, we were just talking about Sid in chat a second ago, and Maddox says, yes, I will absolutely take that.
Yeah, we've got Odin here trying to hold Sid hostage, so we're going to free Sid. And Sid's a good character early on, especially because he has a lot of HP. And, the offense isn't, that bad early on because, Sid has some levels here. We find a nice bow. We've already got an elven bow. It's made some nice arrows, and he can do some work here.
Yep, but that vampire did most of the work there that Matic did. Great use of those early J items that you end up pulling. Oftentimes, those early J items, vampires, Boreases, things of that nature, can go unused and just clog up the inventory. But if you can use them early and kind of swing into some of these early bosses to really leverage their power, get you through some of these early bosses. Great early work there by Matic.
Yeah, the thing about the J items is they kind of like depreciating assets. The longer they go on the sea, the less valuable they are. So, on the one hand, you like to have them for some certain encounters, but at the other hand, it's like use them earlier than not, because otherwise you'll be like all of us who buy elixirs, we never actually use the elixirs. You just end up with a pile that go back into the stock when the game's over.
I mean, classic Final Fantasy trope. You're right. You save it until you need it. Just burn it. Get through it. The most precious commodity you have in this speed run is time. Use it early to help get you through some of those early bosses. Meanwhile, I did also see Matic is now in the Antlion Cave, looting that out. I did happen to see a cat claw, so that's one of Yang's best weapons. It has some decent stat values on it to allow him to do a little bit more damage. Certainly, it's also plus agility, so you don't want to have him in the center slot if you're rocking those cat claws either.
Yeah, looks like a little bit sideways on Blue's side here with this Odin. Odin is not the worst here, but yeah, it was a little bit rough in that party. But we got through.
Yep, I don't think Blues used that or had access to that vampire, so just a little bit of a difference shows. Yeah, Blues ended up costing him. It was about a 30 or 40 second longer of a fight, and it was a little bit more dangerous. So just showing a little bit of difference here between how these two runners are going. And we do have the D-Mist is in the Antlion Cave, so bonus round.
Yeah, so apparently, I'm not sure how well a mist egg works as far as curing a desert fever goes, but that's what we got going on today. So this is bonus round. We'll get to check the Village of Mist out soon. We have a forge very early on, so yeah, that could be something nice. We have Supersmith on, so that's not going to be an X-Cal. It's going to be some other item from Final Fantasy IV Advance, I think.
Yeah, so it will be interesting to see exactly what it is. It's not a hero flag right now, so we don't have to worry about it absolutely being one of Yang's ultimate weapons. So it could be anyone's. This should be interesting. Something this was added. Gosh, it would have been almost 2.5 years ago, adding the Final Fantasy IV advanced weapons in that Supersmith flag.
I know that someone in chat is probably pulling for a Tor's Hammer or something similar to that.
Sid has some great weaponry. He has, Fire Hammer, Thor Hammer, Gigant Axe. He has quite a few options that are available to him. Yang has a couple different claws that are available, but Rydia also has some really interesting items as well, like the Mist Whip. So will be interesting to see. I got to imagine as soon as we get underground, we're going to turn that in.
Yeah, we found a rat tail here at Rydia's Mom, so it's not progression yet, but as soon as we get the hook, which has to be on the overworld somewhere, we'll be turning in that rat tail. And Matic is doing a little bit of selling off. We did find some karate shirts. There are more rune rings for sale if we want those. Or cat claws. Okay, all of the Yang stuff is available early.
Two cat claws are nice. Cat claws are nice. I generally tend to prefer one cat claw and then utilize that other offhand for his elemental weaknesses. He's called a punch mage for a reason. Let him tap into some of those weaknesses and really let his damage ramp up.
Yeah. I mean, I think I would prefer two cat claws myself, and then just switch out for the elementals when you need them. Just because some bosses don't like elementals, and then it hurts.
I mean, yeah, if you gotta, sure.
Anyways, Matic is going to take on defending Fabul. Find some vampires in the item shop here, along with some Ether 1s. I don't think we're really going to see any like D money grind going on here, but it is an option if there happens to be an early Tela available. Blue's going to give us a look at the free treasury here in Troya Castle.
Yes, I love this. I generally call it the Pauper's Treasury for whatever reason. It's not quite as good of items as you get right next door in the main treasury, but hey, that Gaia drum, certainly, and a couple of the other J items. Hey, I will
Root
use
Spear and
those
Mute
a
Dagger
lot.
too. Yeah, that's pretty nice. We find that Bahamut is invading the Kingdom of Fabul today, so all we have to worry about here is if it happens to be able to count from 5 to 1 faster than the party can take it out. I don't think there's going to be a problem with that at this point, given the power that we have and the fact that Yang with a couple cat claws is fairly speedy at this point in the center.
Well, that Bahamut didn't last very long.
Well, it needs to practice its blarging. That's all there is to that. Now we find that there are illusions and silk webs here in the Troya item shop, or I think it's a pub item shop. Yep. Luca Key from the Dark Knight, who was visiting Fabul long ago. So again, when we get underground, we're probably going to miss that because we have the warp glitch on, and we've already seen our D-Mist, so no boss hunt going on.
There's a change rod that was sitting there, Matic. That is a plus 10 wisdom item as opposed to, a mute dagger or any of the other rods, which are typically only plus 5. So we're getting quite a bit of good gear here for our caster. Rydia if we can get her a decent summon. Like we said, we saw that Sylph earlier. That should be able to get us through even like Mount Ordeals, which seems to be the big one that's left. Also Baron Inn. Still no underground access. A little bit disappointed. But that rat tail, I don't know. Whenever we get a rat tail, it always feels like the Magna Key is going to be next. So we don't get to
Well,
combo those two together quite well.
it can't be in this case though, because with that force hook on, we can't have magma on the overworld no matter what. So
Oh, well then.
yeah, there's no easy outs this time around. We're going underground the hard way. We're hoping there's nothing too spicy down there. Like maybe let's say turtle in hook 2. That would be kind of nasty to see there.
Yeah, it's interesting. The party setup that we have. I mean, we have a Kane coming up here directly, so that will be nice. Oh, goodness,
This
and
is
an
not nice.
Ogopogo. No, no, this is actually horrible.
Yeah, so Ogopogo happens to counter any type of magical attack, so that means Rydia is not terribly useful here. She can use the Dancing Dagger. That's also magical, and, the Sylph, if we had bought it, can't really use that because he'll counter with the Blaze. Sid and Yang, it's like they can attack physically, but they don't have great power doing it. Right now, this is going to be a little bit dicey.
Haven't really even found a decent weapon. Sid is still rocking that wooden hammer, which, while that's fine, it's not going to get you through something that you kind of want to get through quickly. Ogopogo can really dish out some damage with his physical attacks, and then the waves, which each wave does 25% of your maximum health. So this is going to be really interesting, Yang being your main power center here.
Yep, and both characters are in the front row because they got through it, so that's good. Yeah, you can't back row Young at all in a normal setting, and Sid, we don't have the bow on Maddox's side. A spoon for the effort. So that's nice if there's an Edward that shows up. Maybe let's see, is that flag even on? Yeah, spoon is on, so Eddie could build that and get lots of power, or Edge could dart it for some real quick damage on the giant. Let's say. If we find Edge.
At this point, it's just another for the pile, right? It's as soon as we get to 10 key items, we have the ability to double the experience that we end up getting, which of course would end up benefiting Yang in the long run. The problem is that, of course, we're probably not going to get to that point, or ideally not going to get to that point. Although right now we're clearing just about everything there is in the overworld. Only thing we have yet left to do is Mount Ordeals. That's our guaranteed path at this point, I believe.
Yeah, it either has to have it directly or has to lead to it either via the Baron Key, the Earth Crystal, the Twin Harp, or something like that. Let's see if this chain goes any deeper, or if it's simply the mountain is just your answer. And yeah, the mountain is a little bit rude here just because we don't have any characters in the party right now who can actually benefit from that. And also, there's no boss hunt on because we've already found our Demist. Alright, so Matic is going to make the trek over to the Stinky Mountain because there's no choice here. And we'll see what happens to be here. I can see a Golbez or a L or a Wyvern, so we know those are off the table because this has to be our way underground.
It does. This is a little bit tricky. Ordeals being our forced way, especially in a Falcon percent. Required hook dive. You don't have Cecil, you don't have Tella. There's no real reason to do it. Plus, there's 3 bosses for 1 key item. It's kind of a large time sink for everything when you put it into consideration at all. So, this is one of those that just naturally feels like it's going to be the last check, no matter what you do in this particular flag set. And of course, it's our way to go.
Yeah. So I mean, if anyone did happen to go to Mount Deals earlier, it might be beneficial to them. But I can't think it would be a popular play unless you're just trying to, if you're in a multi-person race, sometimes you pick a or out of the way that type of deal. Just try maybe see if it pays off and you get an advantage over everybody. No, we have an octopus sitting here at the first fight on Mount Ordeals. This will be fine. This is a physical only boss and one of the weakest spots physically in the game. So if you like the number one, you're going to see a lot of it from Octomam.
There's Matic with that self cast. We mentioned this, like I said, I think this is 12 to 1400. Oh, not quite 1,000. Okay. Still doing more damage than most of the other characters right now. It doesn't feel good to be at this point of the game and not quite hitting that hard, but at the same time, as long as you can get through it, you're fine.
And we have Downed Octopus. His Blues is going to take on the Dark Elf and the Ogopogo that's behind it. Second attack spot is the Baron Guards.
This could be tough. I mean, they do hit quite hard physically in this particular spot, and they also counter casting size as a counter to physical attacks uh, and Piggy, I believe, to magic spells. So really, if we have a mute bell, now's a great time to be able to pull that out. Uh, Otherwise, this could be a little tricky.
Well, one of them was put to sleep, so I think that was one of Yang's claws doing that.
Oh, that's beneficial.
Yep, fell asleep. So I don't remember which claw does that, but that's a nice use of the effect on that particular claw.
That is the cat claw, actually.
Don't remember getting very many procs off of Cat Claw. Then again, I don't really take Yang much in the first place either, so maybe that's why I don't remember it.
Matic going back for a safety save because you never know what you can get in this particular in the ordeals closet. This can be spicy. Do not hate the safety save.
The Gauntlet might be the spiciest thing here just because of the time sink to do it.
Welcome, Puba Cryos. This is a community club showcase. This is the Pink Puff League. It is the best way to describe the Pink Puff League is folks who have never done a free enterprise run before. Come on down. This is a great club to help highlight some of the different flag sets, some of the different techniques. It's designed for folks who maybe just dipping their toe into the Final Fantasy IV free enterprise waters. So we have two great runners who have been at it all club season so far. And this is a head-to-head race on the restream, but we certainly have other community club members running in the background as part of our semi-weekly racing.
Yep, and we saw here that we have a bit of a chain to go on to get underground because it was an Earth Crystal here behind a vanilla DKC. So another long check that is not very favored by some runners is doing the Tower of Zot, because again, you got two bosses for one check and a couple cutscenes. But we know it's the way forward. There's no other place to go.
Yeah, but we get two different bonuses from doing the Earth Crystal, especially right now. One, we do that fantastic Troya Treasury Room, which is weighted to have some pretty decent loot that's out there. We have a Kane that doesn't have a whole lot of gear, a Sid that doesn't have a whole lot of gear, so we have a couple characters that can really benefit from having some high-level gear in that particular area. Two, we also get two characters up on in the Tower of Zot, where you would normally get Kane and Rosa. We do get two character checks. So if we wanted to flesh out our party a little bit more, honestly, I don't hate it. I kind of like being able to do Earth Crystal before we go into a forced underground route, just to help out with levels and getting a full party together.
Unless that full party has to do something like Tella and I don't know, maybe an Edward or something like that.
You know what? I'll do it. Is Spoon Flag on?
Yeah,
If
Spoon
Spoon
Flag is
Flag is
on.
on, we got that spoon. Edward's the snap grab right now in my case. I will take him every single time if I have that spoon.
Matic is buying some Tor Rages as a safety, so that is insurance against a Turtle if it happens to be at hook 2. Turtle is very rude in that spot. Ask me how I know that, but anyways.
Yeah, that's fine. It's just rhythm. It's timing. It's like playing the drums in Rock Band. You just have to have good timing with it. Is all.
I won't torture any of the listeners with my attempts to play instruments with timing being off and keys, but I think Mac is going to give us. All right, he's doing the free treasury first, and then we'll come back and do the rate the treasury part.
Okay, yeah, Matic, here he is with the treasure. Artemis bow immediately pay off.
Mura, glass, charm rod, and a light sword. Right, that's not bad stuff. I would say it's probably a good 7 out of 10.
Yeah, without what's the tier restriction? Is it tier 6 or tier 7?
I believe it's T Pro, so that would be tier 5. I believe is the restriction.
Okay. For T Pro, that was fantastic. Then you got some fantastic gear, glass hats, Lilith rods. That lightsaber. If we end up with a Cecil, is going to be absolutely fantastic. Artemis bow, best in slot. If you with a couple of charm arrows, that will be fantastic for Sid, as far as I'm concerned. Also helping to keep him back road. Flame spear for Kane, probably we're gonna have better at some point, but we'll make do.
Matic has taken the Flame Dog chest. When monster boxes are on, it's a fairly popular check. Just a black shirt in this case, but that's helpful to Aridia. I don't getting for her armor slot yet, so that's pretty good.
Oh, and thank you to Scarcer, our wonderful restreamer, who's correcting me. T Pro on the beta flags can go up to tier 7 in the treasury. It's a low percent chance, but you can get some pretty nice things. So, okay, I take it back. Maybe the 7 out of 10 is about right then.
7 out of 10 is one of those, like, it's good, could be better, but we'll live with it.
You're happy you spent the time doing it. You're not sad that happened. That's interesting. We're putting Sid in the center slot. Now, Sid is normally in the center slot as an agility anchor on Matic's side. However, we're also throwing that Artemis bow on him, which plus 10 agility. So kind of counterbalancing it a little bit. I might change that up a little bit later. We'll see what ends up happening here.
Yep, I forget if this first boss in Zot was better on faster slow agility. I usually don't try to min-max it here, so it's a Mom Bomb. That's not exactly fun.
No, yeah, as Joe pointed out, fast anchoring in this particular spot is pretty good. Mom Bomb, though, yeah, this could be a little bit rough. We still do not have kind of a sweeping spell for Rydia, and I don't know if we have the damage output to get through all of this HP that this Mom Bomb character will have right now.
I mean, as far as sweeping, I think I saw a big bomb from that treasury somewhere, so I think Matic has that part of it down. It's just getting through the HP to get the Mom Bomb to blow up first. The Mom Bomb has an extra 9,000 HP wherever it shows up. So in an early game spot, that's rather annoying because it's a lot more HP to chew through. And, even though it'll blow up once you hit, I think, roughly the normal damage at the spot, it's still, I get there, and then you have to wait for it to blow up and deal with the aftermath. Okay, Matic has reached the blow-up stage.
Yep, and his holding action, he said, okay, we're not going to try to cheat through any more of the HP. We're going to let everything go. And a Blizzard from our high HP Sid character should absolutely take care of at least the
Well,
small ones. Uh-oh.
this is still fine. Even if they happen to blow up, you got enough characters to survive the explodes. Yeah, that's fine. I take a safety save after this just because we don't want to go through that Mob Bomb again. It takes a little time.
Absolutely. I'm always a fan of the safety save, especially when you don't know what's coming on, and we don't have any confident source of damage. I mean, we're able to get through bosses and survive, but it's been a bit of a slog up to this point in time. So, uh, just a couple things short, and let's see. We have. Hey, how would we like a
Well,
duplicate
yeah.
Yang?
Let's see. Dupes are allowed, so that Yang could go in the party if you want a second Yang. You probably wouldn't under most circumstances, but see what happens here.
I'd rather have an Edward.
Well, you have a Paladin if you want that instead. I think we're gonna take the Paladin.
And I'll take that paladin. We have remember that lightsaber that was out there, light sword. I call it the lightsaber because it's funny.
Well, I mean, it's the discount holy sword type of deal, so I mean, it's not as nice perhaps, but it'll be doing a pinch.
We say discount holy sword, but in reality, like, doesn't it have the same like attack power as the defense sword, which is Kane's best weapon? Like they're close.
Well, yeah, but in terms of the actual holy swords in the game, I mean, it's a little bit inferior to those.
I mean, yes, it's great value holy sword. Absolutely, we get it. There's better options, but it's not bad.
We see there's a Mylon and friends sitting here at the top of Zot. Um, I would say this is probably fine given where we are. Occasionally, if you have a low HP party, the lit ones actually hurt in this location. And the punches from Mylon aren't exactly cheap either, so we've got ourselves. This will get us through it.
Meanwhile, Blues is through Mount Ordeals now and has his Earth Crystal and goes, oh, it's one of these seeds.
It is. As our tracker is pointing out in the chat, when you've got Mylon and friends, the attack should be limited to the high damage outputs because there's a counter every attack that lands. So ones that are weaker, it's like you use the frames up on the counter attack without getting a lot of value out of it.
Yeah, I think that's something that is probably a 200 level or 300 level lesson in the scheme of learning free enterprise speed running. You know, at some point you have to realize there's turn economy and making sure you don't use turns on people. Yeah, it feels like they're not doing anything, but you get through the fight faster.
Well, just as we're viewing this race instead of actually racing it, some of the characters in the party are better watchers than doers. Oh, a twin harp. We have to go through more of a chain.
Hey, we're getting all of this out of the way. It's one of those things in these straight line races like this. I love seeing this because this really makes it more about execution than routing. It really is interesting.
Now, the only question here is this going to lead into a Baron King and give us all the possible checks in the overworld first, or will they finally get the hook route as a payoff?
Oh my goodness, that would be the most, inefficient way to route it if we go Earth Crystal to Twin Harp to Baron. Like, at least let us route things nicely. Twin Harp to Earth Crystal to Baron. That way, we pop out of Baron and can go right to it there. Just, inefficiency.
I mean, if this was going to be an efficiency, we've gotten the hook route as a start, or the hook as a starting item. I mean, as it is, we're going to last location it.
Okay, I just see that Blues Eclipse has double Charm Claws on Yang.
I wasn't looking at that screen at that moment, so hopefully chat can supply us an answer.
Yeah, I mean it's plus agility, and the Charm Claws also have a lower hit percentage, and usually just it's better to have nothing than Charm Claws is the prevailing wisdom.
Sometimes he just takes your prevailing wisdom and says, "We're going to just mix this up." Okay, so Matic is taking on the Twin Heart boss. Nice use of Kamikaze to take out the two characters who weren't weighed down by the magnetic field, and now we get to skip over to some music.
Ooh, looking forward. One of my favorite things about this randomizer, getting to see DJ Spoonie B. Let's see what he has on tap for us today.
Yes, one of over hundreds of songs, so enjoy it all.
Okay, that was extended music, and there's our hook.
All right, so no Baron trip initially.
That was, that drained a lot of resources there. That alt gauntlet had a lot of enemies. We burned through a lot of arrows for the Cid because he was rocking that arty bow. I think used most of his charm and or mute arrows that he had lying around to get through that. But on the flip side, hey, our Cecil is fully up to level and ready to knock heads right now. So lots of good things happening from there. We're probably at the right level to be able to actually dive right now. Although turning in the rat tail first, just in case.
Yep, and I think Matic must have found some charm arrows somewhere because there was a stack of 20 that got reloaded in the middle of that fight somewhere. So good
Okay.
on the arrows for the hook route, whoever might be coming our way. Oh, we've got the life pots here. The newly more expensive life pots, which now cost 1,000 gold apiece, as opposed to the they were 150 gold in prior patches, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I absolutely get it because life potions were just absurdly cheap before. But man, that was an adjustment with the beta flags being having run them for quite a bit now.
Either that or the chemists guild here on the blue planet has decided that they need to make more money from their life pots and need to get a better cut of it. Oh, there's a tower key here. So that puts us at 9 key items heading into the underground.
That's a lot of key items going into the underground. Now we're gonna have one done. We just have to launch the giant, though. So really, we're getting. I would say this is about the halfway point of the seed right now.
Pretty close. I mean, the only main checks on the board. I mean, we've got the Dwarf Castle, we've got the Feymarch Chest, we've got the Yang and Sheila. Oh, sorry, the two Sheila checks at Fabul, and we've got the two Tower checks and Dwarf and Luca. That's about it. We should probably find our answer pretty soon. Oh yeah, Baron too, but yeah. We'll try and pretend it's not a thing.
Well, and let's see. We already have the tower key. I imagine we're going to be turning that forge in pretty quickly. Uh, but everything else, tower key, Luca key are the two that we have access to in the underground. Uh, but interesting that otherwise, there's a lot of things that are still open out there.
Yeah, the warp glitch is on though, so we're not gonna see the sealed cave dive down there. We're probably gonna see just the dwarf play because we'll get the warp out of it for free for that item. Because Bridia's here, we've got the warp spell.
So here's a question that I have for you, Garen, as Matic finishes up and doing these monster boxes for a little bit more experience. Uh, is there a character with the setup that we have, and that Gungnir is, by the way, fantastic for Arcane. Um, is there a character that you want to see on the hook route to flesh out your party? If so, who and who do you boot out of your party right now?
Well, since there isn't a foo in this particular seed, I mean, the only character I could think of that I would actually want to take at this point that we don't already have is Edge. I mean, Edge would be nice for the dart power. We've got that spoon in there for an instant quad 9 to have something that's kind of rude. It'll speed up our fights in the giant, especially. Other than that, it's like, no, there's not much else I really want to take. I mean, a white mage might be nice, but we have the Sylph for some heals. Um, Tella is kind of stinky at this point, just because of what Tella is, and Alum, it's like, no, you already got a black mage, and you don't have him leveled, so yeah, maybe my answer on that.
Yeah, if we had to beat Zeromus, I would say absolutely a white mage, but we just have to get through the giant, and depending on what we find on the giant, it's a high HP spot, but we don't necessarily are going to need a whole lot of healing, anything beyond what a Sylph could do, or even an Asura. I thought I saw one of our runners end up buying an Asura summon as well, so Rydia ends up being a pseudo white mage there.
Yeah, and as far as the Berserk thing goes, I mean, we might be able to find Bacchus wine somewhere underground, or the trolley spot would be if it's on the moon. Oh, and there's a free Asura orb, so there we go.
Chad also pointing out Blink and Berserk are fairly powerful spells that a white mage has as well, so might consider taking a white mage for that. Um, Certainly, though, looking at Sid's doing a great job of being an anchor. Right now, kind of our weak link is likely going to be that Yang that we were talking about.
I think, yeah, yeah, Yang is definitely not the best, but I mean, we've got a bunch of levels now, so I mean, Yang is starting to creep up from the low damage curve at the start of the game. Yes, preparing for the worst would definitely be something on this hook route. We'll see if we get something kind of nasty in just a moment here. Meanwhile, Blues is launching the EJ Spoony B flag, so Scars has been kind enough to give us a commentary as a nice few minutes off in the middle of the seed, so we'll see after the next round of music is done. Yeah, but hey, that was that's probably the most views we had in this restream in quite some time. Uh, and that's just as Max getting through the plague, which is the first boss in this hook route. So we have double sparkle here. This is
Yeah,
gonna
we've
be
already encountered some really rough sparkles, so we'll see what this one ends up being. We haven't
right.
seen Pale Dim, D Looters. Oh,
Those are
Pale
two it
Dim.
can't be, 'cause it can't be Wyvern. So yeah, and there's your
Yeah,
Paladin.
yeah, Pale Dim is rough too. You cannot use summon spells on it. It will counter a summon with a Quake, which will absolutely
Well,
decimate this particular party.
counterpoint though, we have Tella. Tella can float the party.
True, true. It otherwise only does physical attacks, and we have that Cecil who is only taking one damage from attacks. He could cover the party. So yeah, there's the Sylph. Okay.
Yep. So it doesn't have to do anything if you're floating because yeah, it just doesn't.
That is very heads up, knowledgeable play by Matic there, knowing that hey, if you get the float spell off, you can just mitigate his most dangerous attack. So yeah, this is kind of free moving through here. Now we just zerk up. Uh, oh well, you know.
Yeah, that's true. But if we get Tell up with a nice little life one thing or something, or life pot, then that should probably cover him. We'd get through this. Could also possibly Zerk that sit up, as you say, with the arrow, because I think is it the already bow that does it, or is the already arrows that does it? I don't remember which one does the damage.
I think it's the arrows, honestly.
All right, that's what I thought too, but at the same time, it's like I don't quite remember because it's been a hot minute. Arrows, okay.
Yeah, arrows. The one downside of casting this Sylph is that it is healing up the party, which means the party's not weak, and then Tella can turn around and get one shot again by the Pale Dim attacks.
Yeah, well, trade-offs to everything, right?
Always trade offs.
So yeah, this might take a couple minutes, but I would say even though it's gonna be almost an hour to get under this hook route, it's still good for what we actually had to get through in order to get here because an alt gauntlet required on the way. You had to take the Mount Ordeals, you had to take the Twin Harp, you had to take the Tower of Zot. A lot of extra stuff.
A lot of extra stuff, and let's not forget, we didn't really have a great deal of power right out of the gate. It was kind of a slow start. So, absolutely, 52, 53 minutes where we're at right now. Not bad at all, honestly, for as much stuff as we've done and how little power we had right away.
And one other thing is, I know that Matic was probably looking for a holy sword like an Xcal or a crystal or like that in the Evelyn boxes and just did not find it. Usually that castle will pay out. This time it did not.
Worth pointing
Oh,
out, as clever as the Sylph cast into Pale Dim while he counters with Quake, that's kind of a long sequence for the amount of damage that we're doing right now. So it's really stretching this fight out quite a bit.
Huh. Okay, that's good to keep in mind then. Apparently, holy swords in Eblan are not a thing anymore in the beta flags.
Are only in the moon monster boxes. Interesting. Okay. Oh, we want Avengers from Epling. No, that's true. Avengers are just as good. Not only does it automatically put the Zerg status, which typically is all you want your Kane or Cecil to be doing most of the time anyway, it's also plus 10 strength and plus 10 agility, so it's a great stat boost as well.
That it is. Oh, only applies to T Pro. Yeah, well, most of the time on the a lot of the flags is for things like tournaments and such. It will probably be on T Pro or something along those lines, but not always. Hey, we got a Crumble on the Paladin. We're through.
Woo! Man, that did take quite a bit of time to get through it, but we are through with everyone healthy. Rydia learning virus along the way.
And now we come up to the boss that is unbeaten in every seed we've ever happened to run on Restream, the Pitfall.
Did anyone else when you were a kid? And I want to ask chat this question. Dr. Lugay and his vanilla spot. That's super interesting. How many people would grind until Rosa learned float when you were a kid playing this game as vanilla, in the hopes that casting float after Rubicon would allow you to float over the pitfall? Did anyone else do that, or was that just me?
I was not thinking that far out of the box.
I tried it. I was so disappointed when it didn't work.
Physics works selectively in this game when it wants to.
I should have known. We don't have plot device, immunity, unfortunately.
Yes, apparently when the plot calls for it, your wings just turn into lead and you have to sink. Alright, so now it is a Darkness Crystal hunt. So the question is, where do you go first? Because you have the tower key, so you have the 2 checks at Babel, you have the 1 check here, you got the 2 in Dwarf Castle, and that's the Baron key.
Gosh, that Baron
Which,
key. I
which,
still want to forge, by the way. I still think that's the first thing that you do here, but okay, I get wanting to check the Feymarch freebie.
well, it does give Matic 10 items now, so Matic gets the double experience now for whatever else happens to come around. No need to check the Feymarch bosses, we know there's no value there, so won't even waste the time to see what's there. We're going to check the shops in Amra next, probably looking for... Oh, actually, this is actually a treasury check and validation. Okay. Optimalic Laboratory Technician.
Yeah, I have no idea what that is. Is that like the dude who makes glasses?
That would be an IDOC type of thing, so yeah. Oh, lab tech, that would mean something surgical operations. Oh, we found the sirens. Excellent. So Matic is all set to do an egg grind now because at 10 key items, and well, we can't buy a whole lot of sirens just yet, but might be able to get up to about 10. Sirens are bought.
Yep. Yeah, don't need a whole lot. Really, what I'm still looking for is one of our Rydia sweeper summons, Bahamut or Leviathan. We've been using this self cast and leveraging it about as much as we can, but it's starting to lose a little bit of its luster at this point in the race. Really, we're looking for something to really carry us through to the end game.
I think at this point, if looking for a summons, try and maybe take the dwarf and see if Levia comes up as one of the options. And we will get a take of the dwarf castle bosses. Well, we've got the other blue robe here, so this will be a free water hag to start out with.
Free water hag, and I believe we know it wasn't it a lunar sparkle in that we saw because we did do Earth Crystal and got a peek of it.
If that was the case, it would be either Wyvern or it would be D-Lunars at this point.
Meanwhile, we do see Blues Eclipse taking the four Mad Ogres monster box on the way down in the upper tower. Great for experience. Will be a little bit interesting to see if we pull anything useful out of it. Matic didn't feel he needed the experience at that point in time and got through everything. So it'll be interesting to see if this ends up being anything that kind of helps catapult Blues Eclipse along.
Okay, that's right. There is no Wyvern flag on this particular one, so if this is a Wyvern, it is going to lead off with its Mega Nuke cast. It's the D-Lunars, though, so we don't have to worry about that in this particular spot. And we've decided that Tella is going to be our anchor, so the old man's going to take a nap.
Oh no! And
Yeah, at the same time, the magic is pretty weak here, so this should not be a big problem. Even though they are going to start virusing, there's only 3,000 HP here split between the two D-Lunars, so I don't think this is going to be terrible.
and luckily Rydia's magic defense he just dodges everything. And yeah, you mentioned it. The magic attack here is not terribly strong. It's supposed to be the traditional Golbez fight, but the reality is the stats in this particular spot are not very good whatsoever. Low HP for where you're at in the game, and really, really low magic attack.
Well, this is what happens when, as an evil villain, you put all of your effort into the sidekick Snake, as opposed to your own stats.
Yeah, I think Scarcerer in chat says it about right. It's designed to be a glorified cutscene that I still died on several times.
And speaking of glorified cutscenes, we have the Luca jewelry cutscene at this point. What is the fashion today? We're wearing Zeromus crystals on our necks. I have questions about this.
So Luca clearly needs to be the one there to help us. Oh, and there's a pink tail. So we're at our 10 key item threshold right now.
Yep, this is 12 now, I think, for Matic. And that pink tail, unfortunately, because there's no admin flag on, not as useful. It might give you a very high-tiered item, but not give you an adamant because we don't have them. I still think
Why
we're
is
avoiding
no
the
one
forge.
forging? Why is everyone not forging?
Well, I
This
mean,
hurts me. I want you guys to know when you go back and watch this later, you are hurting me physically.
okay, Blues isn't hurting you yet because he can't even forge yet. He's still on the hook route. So, I mean, you give Blues a chance here. All right, Scar, it's not a case of needing it or not. It's a case of wanting it. Something like a Precious.
It is absolutely my precious.
Speaking of Precious, Matic is setting up a Sheila check. We're going to see if she has the goods before we do the tower and before we forge.
Yeah.
Oh. We'll see if Matic takes us all the way to the end and just simply goes to the giant without even bothering to forge.
I mean, I get it. If this is a serious race, really, lightsaber is good enough. The I guess we have a Gungnir Spear. It's good enough. But like just having Sid be available with like a fiery hammer or a Thor axe or anything of that nature. Oh, there's
Well,
the
there
darkness crystal. There's go
Sheila,
mode.
Sheila has all the goods. So now the question is, on Magic's side, how many levels do you want from those sirens before you go to the giant?
I think you take 2 or 3. I I don't see why you wouldn't. Just to make sure you get through. I mean, you could probably get through right now without any, but it might be spicy depending on what you find. But my goodness, I want to forge and I want to crack a couple eggs.
Well, it looks like we're going for the egg part first. The forge might be a maybe.
Oh, I
And
completely get it. It's worth noting. I don't know about how you feel, but definitely would have gone up the tower before I did the Sheila 1 check. We didn't have the pan, and it was only going to be a single check for the turn in for the Darkness Crystal versus 2 in the tower. So statistically speaking, I would have. I mean, while that was the better play, I would have gotten that wrong, and Darkness Crystal would have been the way to go, or Sheila 1 the way to go there.
I admit, triple dipping for bull is not my preference. I usually will not do that. And I've lost a number of races because of that, because when you tend to fade the Sheila 1 that's just sitting out there the whole time from the start of the underground, it tends to have value and shoot. Not quite enough to get rid of this egg here, so it's going to hatch, but we've got Tella on the floor, we've got Virus, we'll be fine with all these things.
Yeah, and the virus cast looks like it's going to be enough to take out the egg on its own, so we may not even need to jump next time.
You amazed how often things can slow roll on these things when you need them to not do that? Might be out the threshold though now where maybe we don't have to worry about that quite as much, but uh, take a few more it looks like.
Yeah, I at this point I think we're good to go. I don't know if there's anything else you could possibly need, other than forge. Come on. Forge, 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 forge.
Might decide wants the tier 3 elementals on Rydia just in case, but this might be it. We got a nice
Yep,
3.
looks
That's
like
enough.
this is it. That's plenty.
Is not going to forge.
I am disappointed.
Oh dear. Well, we'll see if this makes a difference or not. There are certainly fights where having that whatever Spursmith is will not make a difference.
Yeah, and I mean it's entirely possible that it could be something that none of our characters could use. So, I'm winding myself up for a whole lot of nothing perhaps, but I'm also just really curious, especially since the first 2 key items we got were both forged. We've had both parts of it since really the 10-minute mark.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll see. I mean, it could have been a Requiem Harp, or I think that's the clear choice for a totally useless item if it comes up there, or the Scrap, or Calipoor, or something like that. Boozy Cliffs, meanwhile, is through the Pale Dim, so is going to get underground now. Maybe we'll see the Forge in just a moment then. About 33% to be good. I like those odds compared to some of the odds I have to deal with in my regular daily life. All right, so
And of course we see Matic say, "We're ready to go. No more delaying. Let's get this giant out of the way." amazing to think that we were just underground at about the 55-minute mark for Matic, and before 110 we're already in the giant.
Yeah, I mean that's just a case of how fast things can go when you're just on a giant hunt and a falcon hunt. Um, the thing is, we've done already most of the checks. The only checks that Matic has not done that were on the table were the 2 Tower of Babel checks and the Baron Castle check, and that's it. Well, also the returning the Panda Sheila, but ooh, it's gonna be a Mylon Z.
I actually really like this, but with the lightsaber weapon, this is going to hit very, very hard. We don't have Fire 3 on Rydia, but we do have Fire 2. You're going to zerk up your Cecil and just kind of let him do work at this point, I think.
Yeah, I mean Cecil will get some nice damage off things. It's gonna take a little while. You have to over some blinks, which will help because Mylon Z is only gonna attack physically here. And it looks like we're gonna have Tello try to help with some. Well, we have him try, but not enough HP to get through it.
Yeah, interesting that we actually are zerking up the other 2 melee fighters in Kane and Sid, letting Cecil not zerk up, just manually attacking so that he can still cover. In that back row, he's back row glitch, so still doing full damage with the light sword, but he's covering them because this is only physical attack. This is actually a great setup that Matic has right now.
Yeah, I mean this is gonna take just a hot minute to get through, but I mean I don't think this is any real danger of really going sideways with the setup.
And we are chewing through this HP that Mylon Z has. This is normally a pretty high, high HP spot, one of the highest in the entire game, but we're just chewing through it right now.
And that's a dead Mylon Z. We're through.
Only
All
one
right.
more boss, and honestly, the next boss is generally considered to be a little bit easier than this particular boss, but probably going to go safety save.
What are you hoping for in terms of spice here if you're looking for something?
Um,
I mean, personally, I
let's
think a bike in
see.
here would be pretty spicy, but
Baigen here would be pretty good. I think an Asura would be pretty good because I don't know if we have a whole lot to deal with that. Um, Also, a Golbez, of course, would be absolutely horrible. Val certainly would be interesting at this spot as well. I'll, I think that's it. All the worst
well,
ones.
all right. Drum roll, please. Well, there's a
Oh,
Bigan.
burn the witch! Burn him!
All right. So the funny thing about this spot is it's a CPU. It normally has no physical attacks whatsoever, so the physical damage is pretty high here. So Bigan is going to somewhat wreck this party if the punches land in the front row, especially. Even Cecil, that's 570 a hit. That's not exactly pleasant.
No, this is going to be try to get everyone to focus fire the main Bigan, try to get some blinks up to oh my goodness, that's even those vampires hurt. You picked a great fight to call.
I think I just said it would be nasty here. I wasn't necessarily calling for Bigan, but I'll certainly take it. And yep. You might be wishing you had your forge at this point. I'm just gonna put that out there.
I mean, that's just a little thing, right?
I mean, depending on what it was. I mean, if it was a Sid thing, that would be really, really nice at this point in time. Sid is out of arrows. Moonveil may have been forgotten.
You're right. Moonveil certainly could do quite a bit of work here because it is largely physical.
And Cecil's cover is off now, unfortunately, so ugh.
He sat there looking right at it.
And ooh. Sure, will we get the right one? Of course not. It gets Kane and Sid back up, but everybody's low HP here.
All right, so Cecil has the elixir, so he can start covering people again.
Yep. Now, will Cecil use the Moonveil, though, and just make sure that, except for that vampire, this is pretty much foregone conclusion. Scar, that might not be the case if you're dealing with an Ogo and the next thing up is going to be that wave.
All right,
Main body is
body.
down. This is GG for Medic. This is through. Now, it has to wait until we get to the end of the cutscene on the whale, but this is done. And no character here because, yeah.
All
That is
right,
GG
and
for Medic.
GG's Matic does finish with an official race time 1:16:58, looks like. So GG's to the Matic, and we'll see if he's around to have a quick chat with us.
And while we're waiting on that, we've got Blues going through and setting up some equipment here. It has a curse ring available, so might decide to use it. He's going to take on the fights in the Dwarf Castle.
Now, we do know that this doesn't necessarily lead to anything. The path is going to be through that Sheila 1 check. And Blues has also not turned in the Forge.
We might
I'm
be
going to
having a
grumble
new.
about that every time, yeah.
We might have the start of a new community here, the Fade Forge people.
I get it. I mean, it is objectively the correct thing to do if you're in a serious race. I get it. I'm just still salty. Team Forge. I let it be known I am Team Forge, and I am not going to shy away from about that.
This is the reason why we make the Forge an objective in so many of our flag sets, right?
Yes, exactly. That'll be part of Mom Spaghetti Club next season. I promise you. We're gonna like required Forge every time.
I don't know if you can actually force that, where it's like you have a required objective, you have optional ones. Because I mean, in a race where you have 10 flags, only or 10 objectives, only have to do 5. Forge is kind of a late one, and it's easy to fade that one most of the time.
That's logic speaking right now. Like that has no place in a rando.
I'm just gonna leave that one sit there. Forge Boss has come out to attack blues. It looks like Levia was one of the summons that Radio learns at this spot, so oh, that ding means we are talking to Matic. GG.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, gotcha.
All right, great. That was a wild ride. I am quite shocked I did not wipe at the end there.
Yeah, that looked to be pretty tight there. We were thinking about calling out on the stream what bosses could be nasty to see at that spot, so you could blame Garen here for that Bygant being summoned.
That's a bad one. Evil Wall would have been bad too. But my Cecil, like, you know, I don't think he had the glass helm on. I think someone else did, so that certainly would have helped there if I had that. But in the end, I just had some moderate defensive equipment, like decent, you know, crystal shield and some other heavy. But even with all that, he's still getting walloped quite a bit, to the point where he got into critical, and it was very, very close to death. But Bygin, when Cecil did get the critical, Bygin was feeling slightly generous, and his RNG hits went to other people, and I was able to get him back up, and yeah, just barely skate on by there. Very, very close at the end.
What were your thoughts when you saw that required past the underground?
That was quite amusing, I must say. Very linear, obviously, with that overworld. With the full overworld clear into Ordeals, into Zot, into Twin Harp, into Hook, of course. And yep, I found that quite interesting, honestly. My early game power was quite limited. I did starting party was not great. I did a dive through Eblon Castle for some early looting. Came up pretty short. I did spike a Dancing Dagger somewhere in the middle tower, I believe. And I thought, okay, this is decent enough. I guess it'll do. Found a cane, gave him something. And then it was good enough. I will say that, and then for Iridia, I eventually bought a Sylph, which basically carried me very hard through the early and middle game. I will say very much that the flag that was extremely limiting was the 1/4 Cell flag. Very, very hard to scrounge up enough money to buy what I needed to buy, especially trying to buy that Sylph at Baron, I believe. Just had to sell basically everything and hope that I didn't sell something that was going to be used for a future character that I would later regret. But I felt like that Sylph I had to get that Sylph, and it turned out to be quite instrumental, actually.
Yeah, whatever you didn't sell there, you sold the rest for those sirens.
Yeah, I did end up buying too many sirens as well towards the end. I don't know. I was just like, okay, well, I'm not going to a shop anymore. I'll just buy a crap load of sirens. I only used like 3. I could have used more, but I felt like that was safe enough, honestly. I also did the Eblon monster boxes. That came up kind of dry. No holy weapon for Cecil. Nothing else really particularly great. So, but my characters didn't really have fantastic gear, honestly. But it was enough to get through.
Actually, I guess on the beta flags, chat was telling us in the booth here that on this particular treasure setting, you can't actually find holy swords in Eblan. If that was the reason, looks like it wasn't going to happen anyways.
Oh, that's right. This is the beta flag. Okay, so going in there didn't serve much purpose, I guess. And in the end, besides some experience, which was decently helpful, Pale Dim and that. Well, Pale Dim wasn't exactly threatening. I had a Cecil Black Road, and that spot isn't exactly too punchy, the Rubicante spot, so Cecil would have been able to cover no problem. But it did speed up the fight a little bit, I suppose, in the end.
Yeah, and you had the nice play there with the Tello to float the party and take out that Quake as a potential threat. So that was nice.
Yeah, that definitely saved a lot of time getting those sylphs off, because the rest of my party was mediocre at best, hitting most of them hitting less for 1k, and Cecil rocking the light sword against Pale Dim, not so great. So
I do have one very important question for you.
yes,
We got both pieces of the forge in like the first 10 minutes. And I was
oh
begging
no,
from that point on,
I
when are we going to see
completely
Forge?
I completely forgot. Now you mentioned it. Oh no, if that's having an insane Cecil behind there, I'm gonna feel foolish. I did not even think of. I completely forgot about that. I was just like, when I got underground, I'm just like, okay, Darkness Crystal, where is it? And I just kind of zipped, and then also looking for Sirens as well. So that was a Darkness Crystal, Sirens. So yep, that is I mean, it could have completely zonked and been nothing, but it could have been something that would have been quite meaningful in the final battle. So that is true, something I missed. And I will say also underground, I got a bit lucky because I decided to fade tower, and just do a Sheila 1 check, and well, if it's nothing, I'll reset out. I'll reset and go do tower. Tower obviously was very appealing thanks to the tower key that I had, so two key item checks, but I decided to do Sheila 1 check first, which maybe wasn't optimal, but especially with the animation having to get back over ground and all to the surface of the blue plane and all that. But I just thought, what the heck, I'll check it, and I got lucky and spiked the go mode from Sheila there.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, what did it was just something you felt in the heat of the moment that you were like, hey, let's go do Sheila 1, it's the freebie check versus tower, or because that was an interesting decision point. I think statistically speaking, a lot of runners, myself included, would have done tower. So what drove you to Sheila 1 first? Was it just the shorter time check?
Yeah, just the quick time check and just being able to reset and go straight to tower if it's a zonk. And also, I've had too many seeds now in all of these wonderful clubs that I've been in doing all these races, including Survivor Hero Island from Garen here, where Sheila 1 has just had something that was meaningful that I held off until the very end because, oh gosh, I want that pan, which makes sense. You want the pan, you don't want to end up triple dipping or, doing an extra trip to Abul. But yeah, I was just like, I I decided what the heck, I'll check it out and I'll reset. And maybe it's not super efficient, but I just wanted to check it. Yeah, there was not too much in the way of logical thinking behind it, I suppose.
Hey, history tells me to check Sheila 1 is an absolutely valid strategy that I think a lot of people mimic as well. Other than that, just any other final thoughts on the seed overall, or the Pink Puff League as a whole? As we've been going on for a few weeks now here.
It's a great league. Honestly, I have learned quite a lot doing it, and some great competitive racers in this league. It's really well done. I'm enjoying it quite a bit every week. And if you are a new player, or if you're thinking of dipping your toes into to Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise, but you're not really sure, you're kind of indecisive, give it a try. I mean, I was kind of that same way, just under a year ago, but I just got into it, and I just the community is so helpful. The club is great. They always are helpful. They always are helpful as well. And the flag sets are just kind of designed. I know this season is kind of wrapping up because of the event, but if you're thinking of joining it, I would say I'm hoping there'll be another season of it. Come on and give it a try. I think it would be. I think you will like it if it's something that you are been thinking about for a while. But
Well, I'll tell you this much. I can't speak for the club leaders, but the Pink Puff League is one of the oldest and I think most beloved clubs in the free enterprise community. So can't imagine it's going anywhere anytime soon.
yep, I agree with that. But other than that, I don't have any other Really, final thoughts. I think that is about it. Had a great time. Good race. Lots of fun.
All right. Well, thanks for letting us restream it. It's always great when you volunteer. We can't have races without the volunteers. So, yeah, thanks very much. And have a great night. We'll catch you around.
Alrighty. Take care.
All right. And yes, thanks to Oscar for running the Pink Puff League club and keeping it going as one of the, again, probably one of the more favorite clubs that we have out here for most people. Always fun to watch the races and read the lore that goes along with it. So hope to see it again next season for, I think it'll be the 7th season coming up.
Yeah, the Pink Puff League, I think, was one of the very first community clubs that was created, and to the point, it was designed to be the introductory to free enterprise speedrunning club, as we mentioned earlier. We've had former champions that have come up and started as Pink Puffs and are now winning the full event races. So absolutely, if you're out there and you want to experience free enterprise, you enjoy watching it, but you don't know if you like speedrunning it or not, I'm telling you, Pink Puff League is going to be the best place to at least dip your toe in and see if it's going to be for you, because it's filled with others at about the same skill level, maybe coming from other randomizer communities coming in, and they have, like we said, they've gone on to be tournament winners for us. So it's a great incubator, I guess, for the community. Thanks again, Oscar, and everyone else who's gone through Pink Puff League.
Changing gears a little bit, have you been checking out the spoiler channel of Vitasia?
No, don't. No, I don't want to know. I don't.
You don't want to know? Okay, then. I will not tell you. For anyone else watching us who's interested in what this actually was, it has been mentioned in the spoiler chat for the race. I'm just going to leave that there and move on to Blues Eclipse going into the Giant to take out the rest of the seed. Do I give GG's to our other racers who have finished to this point? We had Nerukot in second place, hour 21 minutes. Falgren, hour 21 minutes, 5 seconds. And those are the only finishers to this point in time. We have had 3. So, GG to all the racers, and we're going to see how Blues does here in just a moment. Blues looks like chose to take a Rosa along. Rosa Ben from? I didn't actually catch that because we were discussing with Matic. Does anyone chat know where that was?
I think Rosa was the Dwarf Castle character. Yeah.
Oh, it was Dwarf? Okay. That helps then.
Yep, it is nice to see that Rydia now has the Leviathan summon after doing Dwarf. That is the extra benefit of doing Dwarf Castle. Finally getting another summon on Rydia that makes her a little bit more useful, being able to sweep some things, although we don't necessarily need it.
Yeah, I mean, Baigen, you can do the sort of sweeping action there because, again, there's 3 targets, and I think her Leviathan would probably take out the arms in that case.
Yeah, it's true. We'll see if Blues ends up going that route. Again, we have a fight here with Mylan Z with a pretty stacked party, I think, at this point in time. So looking pretty strong here.
Very good. All right, so Rose is going to do a lot of the same things that Tella was doing, some blinks and berserks.
Yep, slightly more mana efficient. Just having access to more mana. Looks like did a little bit of a grind there. Zerking up Cecil, so the lightsaber is doing quite a bit of work. But even Sid with looks to be a rune axe is doing quite a bit of damage. And there's Leviathan. So I think this is a more well-rounded party overall, but uh, it's more well-rounded because you spent a little bit more time crafting it. Uh, that's kind of how speedrunning goes.
Yep, and sometimes if it's a really, really nasty set of bosses, that time spent will pay off better than trying to rush it at the earliest possible moment and realizing you don't have the power. It's
Yeah, it's a
one of those things.
balance.
Yeah, I mean, in this case, I think Matic was going for it. It pretty much about what he thought was probably more the bare minimum, just get by without really having a problem. That worked out with the bosses that we had. Although, as he said, on that Baigen, it was pretty close to all of a sudden being going the wrong way and having to redo it.
And just like Medic, that boss had his HP absolutely chewed through. Cecil swinging for about 4 grand. Even Kane was swinging for 3. But Leviathan and Sid also added quite a bit. So we are on to the final boss here on Blues Eclipse.
All right, and here it comes. Now, looks
No
like Blues did
safety
not,
saving. Wow.
and no safety healing either. So, I mean, okay. Use the Bacchus on Cecil, so we're not going to use the cover strats, and this is going to get a little bit spicy.
Yeah, and that Rydia went down almost immediately. So no sweeping yet.
Well, Rose is going to blink herself, so that works. It means you can at least get people up to do some healing if need be. Alright, we have a blink off on Kane, so that's going to help out again. The vampire arm has been taken out, so I think Blues has gotten this under control pretty well, and this should go through at this point, because this spell is, what, 20,000 HP, so not the worst.
And looks like the arms are cooperating and hitting folks who are blinked and not really needing a whole lot more support. This is going pretty quickly right here.
Oh, gone. That is GG for Blues. Just have to wait for the cutscene to finish, and the Blues will be done.
Yeah, nothing more, I think, aggravating for a speedrunner than killing that last boss and seeing, like, hey, everyone's going to be gaining like 5 or 6 levels, and look at all these new spells that you can cast. And you're like, come on, I just want to press A as fast as I can.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Do I say GG's to Lord Goober in 4th with hour 33, and Onemus 5th place with an hour 36:06. GG to all the racers, and GG to Blues finishing in 1:38:05. GG all.
GG. That's a lot of people finishing very, very close together. There, just highlighting, the future of free enterprise is solid with all of these folks in Pink Puff League. Certainly, it's going to be some tight races in the future. Really looking forward to seeing all of these runners, in other flag sets as well.
We'll see if we have Blues in for interview real quick after the fact, and yeah, that goes. And again, GG to all our racers for participating, and again, shout out to Scar for doing the restream, and Judge Joe for doing the button pushing. And Batasia, it's always nice to do comms with you. Hopefully, we'll do it again sometime soon.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure working with you, Garen, and of course the rest of the crew. Scarcer in the booth, and Joe on the tracking. It's always a pleasure. And of course, if you ever think that you wanted to be a part of the Restream team, we are looking for volunteers. Of course, go ahead, join us over on the Discord, and join us on the Discord anyway if you just want to be part of the community. But if you'd like to help out with the Restream, certainly join us over there and chat us up. In the meantime, we do have Blues Eclipse joining us in the booth. GG's on the run.
Thank you. That definitely was an interesting one. I feel like I actually lost a lot of time just by not going straight to do Shield 1.
Well, I mean, you followed kind of a very similar route that we were seeing from Matic on the other side. It was, I think the big thing is there just wasn't a lot of early power available in the seed. So once you kind of got through and got everything geared up and were on a roll, things just ended up flowing naturally. But power was a little bit hard to come by that seed overall.
Yeah, definitely was very power light.
Yeah, this is one of those times where you have the Cecil, and it's like, well, the best you have for him is a light sword, and it's like that's not bad by a stretch, but it's not the overwhelming power we're used to seeing with him a lot of the times with X scales or something like that. This flag set you really couldn't get that kind of thing.
Yeah, I thought about actually diving Eblan Castle to see if I could spike an Excalibur crystal from the trap chest there, but decided it wasn't going to be worth the extra time. I'd just see what I get on the hook route.
Yeah, and as I forgot on comms and everything else, you can't get a Holy Sword from Eblan when you have T Pro on in the beta flags. So it turned out to be a good fade in your case, because there was nothing really there that was all that helpful in the boxes in Eblan. You've had to go onto the moon apparently for a Holy Sword if you want to try for one.
Ah. Yeah, I actually did not know that about the beta flags. So, I suppose it was just a good decision then.
I mean, I don't think, the way you ran the seat was fine. I don't think there's anything really, it's like a lot of the plays were logical. It just turned out, it's rando. They just turned out not to be right in this particular seed's case.
Yeah, and I can honestly say with the seeds that I've played on this flag set, it really feels like that's how this flag set works out, is just, okay, it's, do you go to this one place or don't you?
Yeah, and, Sheila 1 is not exactly a popular choice out the pan. Ordeals is not a popular choice without any real reason to go there initially. The seed
Yeah,
it's all the long and hard plays that you don't like to do necessarily.
yeah, Ordeals into Zot into Twin Harp just to get the hook. I saw that and I was just thinking to myself, okay, this seed really has some jokes.
Well, we were hoping for Baron Key to come out of that Twin Harp just to keep the overall party going. Didn't quite happen though, but Scar definitely rolled a spicy one for his first time doing the restream. So fun stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I can't say it was a bad seed overall. I actually, for the most part, enjoyed it. I just don't think I'm a fan of this particular flag set. It feels to me like it has too few objectives, and becomes, like I said, just do you spike that one spot that has the thing you need, or don't you?
More objectives, you say? You want more objectives?
Yes.
Plug Mom Spaghetti Club, 10 objectives, 5 required. Sorry, I felt the opportunity there. It was sitting there waiting for me.
Glad I could give you that lead in.
Of course, if you want 8 or 7 required, I've got a Survivor Club over there. You've been in there before, Blues.
This is
Yeah,
the
I think I've
Opportunity Club
suffered that.
showcase
I've
as
suffered through
restreams
one
are.
season of that. I think I'll hold off on another.
You can just watch the season, right, and enjoy all the fun going on with the other racers. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. But
Uh,
at least
so
the giant bosses here were pretty kind to me.
yeah, that Baigen could have been nasty, but you got your blinks up and rolled right through him. That could have been a much nastier encounter.
Yeah, makes me glad I took that extra bit of time to restock on Bacchuses before hitting the giant. Because I think that would have been much worse if I didn't get my primary offense zerked up right away.
I do have one very important question that I have to ask you because I asked Matic as well because you both did the same thing. Uh, let's talk about Forge.
Oh, right, I did have that.
Why? You both forgot. Oh my gosh.
I'll be honest, I just mentally put that in the category of not an objective.
That makes sense. That again, as I
Yeah.
as I mentioned, is why we've signed put as an objective a lot of these flag sets.
Yeah. And realistically, by the time I got underground, at that point it was very likely that one of those easily accessible spots would have had the darkness crystal anyway. I don't think I would have gotten enough additional power by doing Forge to warrant doing Forge.
All right.
Well, yeah, I was going to ask any other questions or comments about, the flag set, this particular race, or just anything in general.
Honestly, like I said, I liked the seed. I'm on the flag set, just thinking it needs more objectives, but overall I think it was a good experience.
Well, as long as you had fun, that's the most important part of this whole thing, right?
Yep. Definitely doesn't hurt to get exposed to these things that can turn into kind of just absolute jet seeds if things line up properly.
Yeah, I mean, someone was saying it's like, it could be a really, really jetty one if you have, just the perfect bosses in the hook route or starting hook or starting darkness. It's like, it's just on right from the start. But this
Yeah.
one was a little bit dragged out.
Yeah, even then though, it could have been a much different story if someone had decided to make the play for early ordeals.
Yeah, and sometimes in group races, unlike maybe in a head-to-head, someone will make that play figuring there's however many runners are in a race, and especially if you know that maybe if it comes down just a technical thing, you might not be the fastest. Play that's not so popular and see if it works because it can save a lot of time.
Yeah.
All right. Well, again, thank you for volunteering for the Restream Blues. Always good to have volunteers willing to do the restreams so we can actually have our shows here and our showcases. So, yeah, thanks for coming along, and we'll see you next race.
Yep. I look forward to it. And thank you guys for everything you do to keep this running.
Yep, absolutely. Anytime. Thank you so much. One last shout out, of course, to both of our runners, both Blues Eclipse and Matic. Once again, also a shout out to the entire broadcast team. Not only my co-commentator Garen, but also our tracker Judge Joe and our restreamer Scarcerer. Always a pleasure working with all of you guys.
And that's going to wrap it up for our broadcast tonight. We are going to send you along to the Final Fantasy Randomizer running one of their Duckling Derbies, I think it is, which is similar to Pink Puff League, their thing for new runners or those learning. And as far as our broadcasts are concerned, the next club race will be Your Mom's Spaghetti Club, actually, Fantasia, this coming Saturday at April 20th at 3 p.m. Eastern. So if you like races that have a lot of variability to them, Fantasia's Spaghetti Club is pretty good for that.
Lots of variability and it's pretty short. I mean, most of the seeds last under an hour in most cases, but hope to see everyone there. Otherwise, we're sending everyone over to the Final Fantasy randomizer for a fantastic, I believe it is their Duckling Derby, which is the Final Fantasy 1 randomizer's Pink Puff equivalent. So hope everyone has fun over there, and we'll see you all at the next race. Have a great rest of the night.